Hi everyone, thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning here in Tham Beach in Panga in Thailand. And today we've got an interesting topic. Thank you very much, mystery person, for my cup of coffee. And that's what you call a full cup of coffee. Thank you. So we are talking about, I suppose it's a question. How much has Thailand changed? I hear it often from people saying that, Thailand's changed. I don't want to go back there anymore. It's different from when I used to be there. And of course, from just about any level, anywhere you go in the world is going to change. The street where you live has changed. The shops that are in your town, they've changed. Governments come, governments go. Things change. But when sitting back, on reflection yesterday, because there was plenty to reflect about yesterday, I was wondering really, has Thailand changed that much? And I want to ask you the question because I'm sure some of you have got some quite strong thoughts about the matter. But things like the weather, obviously the weather hasn't changed that much. Basically, Thailand's still, hot and tropical. The bars are still there. They're different bars, but the bar scene is still there. Some people would argue that the bar girls have changed, and that's certainly up for discussion, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that. The beaches, of course, are still there. In some ways, the beaches are much better looked after now than they used to be, although the amount of trash that is being washed up on the beach is greater than in the past. So I acknowledge there are some things that have changed, but the fundamentals, well, maybe they haven't changed that much. Sukhumvit Road, going back, and the Ratcha Prasong intersection going back 50 years was a great place to go shopping. Well, it's still a great place to go shopping. It's just the shops are different. So I am very, very happy to hear from you about the things that you think have changed about Thailand. Again, on a weekly basis, I get people saying to me, I'm leaving Thailand, it's changed, I don't like it anymore. I thought, well, what's changed? And look, some people, they do have various problems and disasters even. It could be financial, could be romantic, and they just get homesick, whatever it is. But for the people that are here, some of us have been here. Some people hate me mentioning the fact that I've been here for 13 years. Some people have been a lot longer. But in fact, let's have a bit of a competition. Tell me how long you have been in Thailand, because that would be interesting. And not saying that because you've been here longer that you have a better opinion, but of course the differences would be more stark for those people that have been here for a longer time. But again, I'd be interested to hear from you as to what things you think have changed the most. Now, I will talk about, I suppose, the elephant in the room, something that has changed a lot this week, which is part of the Thai political landscape. And that is going to also change this week when the Prime Minister has to stand in front of the Constitutional Court, and 9 unelected people on that court will decide the fate of the Thai Prime Minister over what you would call a fairly clumsy or innocuous sort of case. But that's not up to me to decide. That's up to the 9 wise, I think they're all men, on the Constitutional Court. Now, if they dismiss the Prime Minister a week after they've dismissed the most popular elected party at the last election, Thailand does face some fairly serious headwaters. But again, I'd ask, has Thailand changed that much? These things have happened in the past. I go back to May the 20th or May the 22nd in 2014. You don't have to pick me up on that. Maybe it's May the 14th. Anyway, it was when Prayut Chan-o-cha, General Prayut Chan-o-cha at the time, headed a coup. Now, I heard about it on the radio, and I thought, oh dear, this could be serious. I was living in Phuket. But over the next 3 or 4 weeks and months, I didn't see one gun, I didn't see one tank rolling down the street. Yes, the radio stations and the TV stations were turned off for a couple of days. But and then we had to play the song the Prime Minister wrote, bringing the happiness back to Thailand. Sort of thing that coup leaders do, write happy songs. But again, the fundamentals of Thailand really didn't change. The food was still great. You still only paid 40 or 50 baht for a pad thai. That's the topic for today. Even though we've got these changes happening around us, has Thailand really changed that much? And is it still a place, if you're not in Thailand, that you still intend to visit? Because some of those things that you've really enjoyed haven't changed much at all. Just a quick wander out my front door, and I always say that I'm the luckiest guy in the world, because when I walk out the door, this is sort of what I am confronted with. I just walk across the road. I'm right on the road as I have my coffee. Trying not to spill it. So I have a walk across this 30 metres or so of land. And this land, which is lined by casuarina trees, runs for about 10 kilometres just along this stretch of beach, but it also stretches further up and down the coast. This beach, it's the Tham Luang beach as it comes past my door, but it's actually the longest beach in Thailand, some 34 kilometres. Starts up near Khao Lak. I'm pointing to Khao Lak, and it runs all the way down virtually to where the Panga province finishes and Phuket begins, which is a stretch of water about 300 metres wide. Oh, gee, maybe only 200 metres in places. So, this is what the beach looked like this morning. This is about 10 minutes ago. And, yes, you can see that the sun rises from the other direction, and we get to see the sunset every night across the beach, but not much in the way of waves, just little 30, 40 centimetre waves this morning, and a few people and a few soy dogs on the beach this morning, but very pleasant, very quiet, and something that I would suggest probably hasn't changed much in the last 100 years is that Tham Luang beach foreshore. Although I'm not sure if those casuarina trees were there, say, 200 years ago. I think they've been introduced by some of the, maybe the Portuguese who were here tin mining. I don't know. Also like to mention today, I've got a bit heavy-handed. That's a good coffee, thank you. And subscribers only today. So if you can't subscribe, if you can't comment, maybe you're not a subscriber. So if you click on the subscribe button, then within 1 minute, you'll be allowed to join in the comments section. So subscribers only today because, well, why the hell not? It's my channel and I've got to build it up somehow. Let's go back and check some of the comments before we go into a few more specifics about how Thailand may have changed in your point of view or maybe not changed. And the show is TNT, Thailand News, Tim Newton today. Could be Thai News today. Now, let's see. Daryl McGee. Not sure I can really add to this topic because I'm only a relative newbie. 8 years or so. Gee, I think 8 years. You're fully qualified to make some comments on this. John D says, Sawadi Krap from Melbourne. And Daryl said, comment, I guess the changes I've seen are the use of more modern technology. And from what I see in my Thai family, it's a greater awareness of the world around with social media and news. This is always a bit of a hot topic, isn't it? Whether social media has been generally good or generally bad. And for all the bad we see with social media, I think there is plenty of good as well. And the fact that some of these poor Thai families up in Ubon Whoop Whoop and up in the sticks up in the hills who maybe had very little access to news and information in the past, they can now on a daily basis find out what's happening right around the world as well as next door. And I think that's a good thing. It can be very overwhelming for a lot of people, but I think information is also empowering. So that is a good benefit of social media, as long as you know what you're reading isn't a load of rubbish. Question from Peter Barden. Question, if you get a DTV, that's a Destination Thailand visa, do you need to file a TM30? That's a certificate of residence. Well, at some stage, yeah, you'll need to tell the immigration department where you are. I'm pretty sure they'd be asking for an address when you apply for your DTV, an address in Thailand. Now, whether you have to do 90-day reporting, which is also a report of where you're staying, is not 100% clear. I've reported last week that you don't have to do a 90-day report under the DTV. Because that's what I've read and seen on a few vlogs, but other people are disagreeing with that. So it's another one of those little details we're not quite sure about with the DTV. And thank you to all those people that have sent in the fact that they've applied for and received a DTV, and some people even arrived in Thailand on that particular visa. So we will learn a lot more over the next 6 months and 12 months about precisely how this DTV works, remembering that the DTV was cobbled together by the Foreign Affairs Department, but it has to be administered and enforced by the Immigration Department. So when they start adding their sort of bits and pieces and crossing T's and dotting I's, there might be a few changes around the edges. But essentially, under a DTV, you can pretty much live in Thailand 180 days at a time. You can extend for 180 days, then you have to leave the country. So you can stay for nearly a full year, 5 days under a year. Then as soon as you leave, you can just turn around and come back again, and the cycle starts again. You can leave during that 180 days and leave the country, spend a week in Cambodia, come back to Thailand, the 180-day cycle starts again. I think it's very attractive. And all that for 10,000 baht. But you have to prove why you are coming to Thailand. If you're a digital nomad, you need to provide evidence of the company you're working for or your freelance status, perhaps some bank accounts. Yeah, I think you have to prove that you've got the equivalent of 500,000 baht in a bank account. Doesn't have to be a Thai bank account, or assets valued around that, such that you can look after yourself 180 days at a time. And it all costs 10,000 baht. I mean, it really is such a huge change. If you want to talk about the biggest changes in Thailand, the DTV is by far one of the biggest changes we've seen to the visa structure anyway in Thailand. Let's read a few more of your comments. It's your program after all. David Hodgson, my opinion is that the roads have got a lot better. Have to agree. Unfortunately, the standard of driving has not changed at all. Yeah, that's an interesting comment. A lot of people complain about Thai driving. After 13 years here, I've sort of got so used to it that I'd be a danger in my own country, because I'm not so sure that Thai driving is so bad. I mean, the fact that there is a lot of drink driving is a big problem. But once you get into the rhythm of Thai driving, I'm not sure whether they're any worse than just about anywhere else in the world. I mean, the road toll is horrendous, but a lot of that has to do with the drink driving and the fact that the enforcement of things like licenses is perhaps not as strict as it should be. But the actual driving habits of most people, I haven't, touch wood, had a road accident ever since that first year I was here in Thailand, where I had 3 accidents. Getting used to that rhythm. Anyway, David, thank you very much. Okay, morning comment, and this is from Eileen. Very open-ended question. How far back in time are you asking? Well, as I said, Eileen, go back as near or as far as you like. If you want to try and draw some sort of comparison, find a comparison 50 years ago or 100 years ago, or compare it to photos that you saw on the internet then, or it can be a very recent comparison. I think any comparisons are good with this particular story. There's no correct answers. There's no wrong answers. It's just a matter of thinking as to how much, or whether really, the fundamentals of Thailand have changed. I said things like weather, cost of living, beaches, bars, culture, but there's a million other things that I'm sure. I suppose my argument is that Thailand's fundamentals really haven't changed much at all. Plenty of details around the edges, but this is why I want to ask you that particular question. Fug Life, hi from Redland Bay in southeast Queensland. Phil Lockwood, I'd love to go back 70. I'd love it to go back to 70 plus baht to the UK pound. That was what, around 2000? I think it was a bit of an anomaly at the time, Phil. But yeah, of course, we'd all like to get more bang for our currency. It doesn't really bother me these days. Although I do get paid generally in USD, it sort of goes up and down, but floats around the 35, 36 Thai baht to the dollar. And if it goes up a bit or down a bit, I don't get particularly worried because I know it's just going to go back in the other direction at some time. But yes, I mean, of course, we'd all like to get more baht for our currency. But I mean, things are still generally much cheaper here in Thailand, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Bueno muchachos from Texas in the USA, from Guzzy Jack. And Fun Sized Media, good morning and good evening from a warm and slightly humid Vancouver. Brett Border says, good evening from Vancouver Island in Canada. You two should get together and maybe have a discussion about how good I am. Peter Nesden, good morning from Shanghai. We've got the whole United Nations here this morning, haven't we? Shane O. Traveller, greetings from Warm Winters. Oh, it's a Warm Winters Day in Melbourne. I thought Warm Winters was a new suburb I'd never heard of. Chilled Out on Lantau, good morning from Hua Hin. I've only lived here a year, but I've been coming here for 20 years. I think the standard of living is improving for the average Thai. I'd have to agree with you. Costs are up, but still very cheap versus the West. Pat Thai, oh, you are from Bris Vegas, Kun Darrell. I love Bris Vegas. Bris Vegas is a nickname for Brisbane because, Bris Vegas, I mean, Brisbane generally and the Gold Coast just to the south of it are the sort of the entertainment centre, I suppose, of Australia. There's casinos and there's fun parks and beaches and, Bris Vegas, there you go. King Kijiji, g'day from Alberta. I think that's in Canada as well, I think. John, hello. John Armstrong, good morning to you. Great to have you with us. A beach bum, greetings from Vancouver. There's a lot of people in Vancouver. Smoke from Seven Orifices. I want to get to the topic as soon as I can. Currencies are dropping against the baht. I got 90 Thai baht for £1 British in the early 2000s. I think that British pound to the dollar, as I said, was a bit of an outlier. I don't think that was like what was happening in the years before or the years after, but very happy to hear people's thoughts on that. Thug Life says the past doesn't exist. I'm sure that's meant to be deep. What did LP Hartley say at the start of the Go-Between? Got Daisy and Dina fighting. Dina's in the box and doesn't want Daisy to go near her. I'd love to turn the camera around, but I'm sure I'll cause some problem if I do. So LP Hartley, the start of the Go-Between, said, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. Chris says, good morning, Tim, and all chatters watching from sunny Pathum Thani. Thailand has changed from a military junta to an old family junta. Yeah, the sort of the days of the guns and the tanks, or the sort of the solid, hard army takeover, they've been changed in recent coups by sort of soft coups. And you might even like to say, just want to make sure that nobody from the Thai government's listening, that what happened on Wednesday was a bit of a soft coup again. There was no guns, there was no violence, but just watching my two animals having a bit of fun. Daisy, don't annoy the cat, like that's going to help. The sanity of the markets and street food vendors has greatly improved over 20... Oh, the sanitation, yes. You said the sanity, I was thinking the sanity of the markets. I thought you were talking about the financial markets. The sanitation at the markets, sanity, and the street food vendors has greatly improved. Yeah, what do you think about street food? Street food is still there. It was there 20 years ago. It was there 40. It was there 100 years ago. Thai street food is still great. And, as Thug Life said, it's probably cleaner and of higher quality these days than it used to be. Pad Thai may retire in Vegas, I hope. Come to Thailand instead. Smoke from Seven Orifices, responding to somebody. Heiko Homburg, good to have you with us again. The weather changes every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. What didn't change that much in Thailand is the climate, not the weather. Okay. That again is very deep. Living here 3 years now, says T&W, living in Udon Thani, Thailand. How is it up in Udon Thani today? Heiko's been here for 2 years. Pad Thai said, I was born here, and let me assure you, I don't remember new buildings in the CBD. I don't remember new buildings in the CBD. Okay. Warren Williams, good morning to you, Warren. Steve Ross should ask his best mate, Bangkok Pat, to answer today's question, how has Thailand changed? Look, we'll let Steve and Bangkok Pat work that one out. But yes, Steve would, I'm sure, have his own opinions on that because he's been living in Thailand in the past, had a break of some 20, 25 years, but has come back to live in Thailand over the past 2 years. He would have some great insights, as would Bangkok Pat. And if they're subscribers, they can join in today's comment section. Craig Jones, 22 years been here in Thailand. A lot has changed and a lot has not. Well, that's pretty cryptic, Craig. Come back to the computer and tell us what hasn't changed and what has, okay? Very lazy of you. You've got a red card for that one, Craig. Jerry G, been going to Thailand on and off for over 35 years. A lot of changes in infrastructure, but the people sort of finished there. Fun-sized media, my first visit wasn't until after COVID reopening, so I can't really comment on this question. Thank you, Fun-sized media. This is the 11th something or other. That just vanished. There we go. Thanks, by the way, Coop. Hi, Coop, if you're watching, and your party who visited Thailand this week. I've still got the charger of your friend here, by the way. I've got to send it to you. But very, very heavy charger. I wouldn't want to take that on a plane. That'd be the entire carry-on luggage. But yeah, thank you, Coop, to your group, and we look forward to seeing your video about the area when it turns up on the channel. Thank you. AV, question in Thailand, what are the steps to take if we wanted to start and operate a local business, including hiring, without getting married to a local woman? What about US businesses in Thailand? Well, that's a good question. What are the steps to take if we want to start and operate a local business? Well, you need a B visa, you'll need a work permit, and then you'll need to register a Thai company, and you'll have to have Thai nominees. One Thai nominee if you don't want your company to give you your visa. In other words, you use some other visa. If you want your company to give you a visa, then you'll have to have 3 Thai nominees. Quite a lot to talk about on that one. There's plenty of stuff on the internet about it, but you don't have to get married to open a business here in Thailand. I would suggest, humbly, you do a lot of research, like a lot of research. Probably, if you're not actually in Thailand, I would come here and spend a bit of time, talk to some people that have got businesses, because there's a lot that's not written on the official publications that you probably need to be aware of. Not so much the paperwork that's going to trip you up, it's the cultural aspects of running a business here in Thailand that you probably need to be most aware of. Brian Campbell admits, I'm quite an erratic driver, so Thailand suits me more than Australia. Maybe that's why I am fine here. I mean, yeah, things like speed limits are just generally not adhered to very much here. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big topic, driving in Thailand, and a lot of people will be happy to say and volunteer the information that it's a very dangerous place to drive. But if you're in a car and you drive reasonably carefully, then it's just about as safe as anywhere else. However, the death toll, the horrendous death toll on the roads in Thailand is mostly people from the age of 18 to 24, male, and either speeding or drink driving. So that's where the huge amount of statistics comes from. And other drug use, by the way, it's not just alcohol. But if you're, more mature and you're in a car, your chances of having an accident are just about the same as many other countries. That's statistically. So it's not as if we can argue about that. That's just proven statistically. Brian Campbell, it's quite an... Just need a bullshit detector when reading everything and anything on the internet. Well, that's pretty true, Revenish. These days, I think education is not about telling people how tall Mount Everest is, but how to avoid reading misinformation about how tall Mount Everest is. Because sifting fact from fiction, I think, is somewhat of an art that needs to be cultivated in young people around the world these days. People my age, it's too late for us. But there's a lot of bullshit on the internet, and I think I've got a fairly well-developed bullshit detector. Heavens knows, I read a lot of comments every day. 10% of them are just rubbish. But somebody has to make... everybody's going to make those decisions themselves, right? Everybody's going to decide what they consider as fact and fiction. Good education, of course, does help. I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, watching from Jomtien. I've been here for 2 weeks. Dennis L., what's happened? What's changed in 2 weeks? I've missed your thing. The British pound will never be 70 to the pound again as the UK continues to weaken every year and Thailand is still on the up, opines Richard Woolley. AV. Tim Newton today is one of the best vlogs on YouTube. Thank you for your precious news reports. Very informative and insightful. The check's in the mail. Thank you very much, AV. Boyd Gillies. Hi, Tim. Great show. Thumbs up for you. Enough of the patting on the back. Let's get back to the topic. Eurovision Chris. Chris, you got my attention already. I've noticed that since I arrived in Thailand a few weeks ago, my euro gets me less baht now than it did on arrival. Yes, I think I've noticed with the USD as well that I'm getting less Thai baht. I mean, we're not talking a lot, but we're talking probably 3 or 4%. It might be that the Thai currency is increasing in value at the moment against overseas currencies. It goes up and down. Martin Pierce, my first time in Hua Hin, feeling ripped off by tuk-tuks, almost twice the price as Bangkok metered taxis. There you go. Martin, I wasn't aware that there was a taxi mafia in Hua Hin. I think there's taxi mafias everywhere these days. Generally, I find the taxis quite good here in Thailand. Look, you open the door and you check inside and see the condition of the taxi. They probably won't use their meter these days, or they're less inclined to. But most taxi drivers are great. And some of them even speak a little bit of English, which makes it easier for me. Good evening, Tim, from hot, humid Texas, says Corey Jackson. Thank you for joining us, Corey. Martin Pierce, we've done that one. Shory, g'day, Tim. Unusually warm weather here on the Gold Coast today. The Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Been a year since I was in the kingdom. Miss it badly. Well, we welcome you back soon. Drink driving is a problem, but seeing motorbike riders on Yaba is a nightmare. Yeah, as I said, it's not just alcohol that is a problem on the roads here in Thailand. It's other drugs as well. Any drug is a problem on the road, even cannabis. If you are taking something that is altering your mood and altering your sense of reality, even 1%, you shouldn't be on the roads. Particularly if it's something that you have to smoke. That's a big no-no in a car as well. Brenton left. I spent time in Thailand in the 90s, thank you, then came back again 20 years later, and what first hit me was the amount of overweight Thais now. That's an interesting point. Years ago, you rarely saw that, Thais were known for being slim. Can I add to that, Brenton? I'm sorry. Yes, I think there are fatter Thais around these days. I find them also a lot taller. Now, I'm 173 centimetres, and I'm still 173 centimetres, but the average Thai, compared to the first time I came here, there are 13 and 14-year-olds sort of towering over me. So they are getting taller, and I think that's because of the changes in the diet. You can blame 7 and 11 and snacks for that. So yes, that's a very good point, and Brenton, thank you very much for mentioning it. I suppose, again, I would argue whether that affects your enjoyment here in Thailand. I mean, it's something we can observe, but I'm not sure if it makes Thailand less enjoyable or more enjoyable. But thank you for your input there. Good point. Oh, what Thailand hasn't changed in is the politics, says Pat Thai. And yeah, I will just mention in a moment the fact that we do have a new party here in Thailand. When I say party, I'm not talking about alcohol and pin the tail on the donkey. That's a very good coffee, albeit cold now. I needed that. No, it's okay, thank you. Soji St. John. Country homes and businesses changed from teak wood to concrete, brick or block. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I think out in the country there used to be a lot of homes built from teak, and certainly up in the northeast it was just a bit of a style. And we're seeing a lot fewer of those teak wood homes, partly because there's less teak available. I think the price is very high and concrete's a lot cheaper. So we are seeing Thais, yeah, they do love their concrete. They really do love their concrete. So that is a very, very good observation. So Soji St. John, thank you. That's an excellent bit of input today. And thank you, Guzzy Jack. Thank you very much for your very kind and generous support of the program. And you'd like to say for background mood lighting, and thanks for the explaining Brisbane, because I couldn't figure that one out. Do we need mood lighting in the background? I thought I've got a nice warm orange today. I could change the colour for you. What colour do you want? There you go. Blue instead, just like that. I've got all those different colours I can... I think that cost me at least 220 baht. Where did I buy it? Lazada. Thanks, Guzzy Jack. Thank you very much. Okay. 80s Bangkok. No Western style off-rack clothing, limited Western food, low skyline, tourists were few, and Western Japanese Central Chitlom. Tourists were few and Western or Japanese. Okay, full stop. Central Chitlom was the only place to shop, few retirees and mostly vets. Okay, 40-year expat. I suppose that's how long you've been living here. That's some really good observations. Can I go through those again? 80s Bangkok we're talking. So 40 years ago, no Western size off-rack clothing. Even today, you know, it's a little bit difficult to find clothes that fit. When I buy clothes from Lazada, or I buy all my clothes from Lazada these days, I have to buy either my shirt, which I'd be a medium in Australia, I'm either XL or 2XL here in Thailand. So the sizes are completely different. So when you go to order something off Lazada, for example, or any online shopping, buy the cheapest shirt and pair of pants that you can, guess the size, try them on. You might guess right, but then you can adjust accordingly and then you're sort of okay. But yeah, 2XL. Red light cameras and speed cameras are everywhere in Sydney. I don't dare drive to wherever I haven't been. Pat Thai, I was in Australia in October 2022. I got 3 speeding tickets during my visit. Hired a car for 3 or 4 days. And when I arrived back in Thailand, those tickets, the fines, were in my in my letterbox at home. So the system works very, very well in Australia. doesn't work here in Thailand. They can't seem to get the police files together with the Department of Land Transport files. They've been threatening it for a decade, but they haven't been able to make it happen. Okay, so Peter finds your family, says, only been here for 25 years. Road-wise, much better and much wider roads. I'd agree. More traffic lights, dirt roads, cemented, even to small mountain villages. Surveillance cameras everywhere. That's a point, isn't it? I suppose that's something that we just get used to in cities around the world. But yeah, there are more surveillance cameras around these days than there used to be. I suppose it's just become part of the whole security scene. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, they might pat you down at the airport, but there was no scanners or anything like that. I go back to when I was first travelling on aeroplanes back in the 1960s, and there was no security at all. You basically wave goodbye to your friends, walk out a door that they could walk out onto the tarmac if they really wanted. In fact, some of them used to, and they'd throw streamers at the aeroplane as we flew away. Sort of like cruise boats. Memories. G'day, Tim, says JM. Great show. I stayed several months in Thailand, witnessed 6 dangerous motorbike accidents. 1 death, definitely won't drive there, but love Thailand. JM, I have been a witness to a motorbike accident, a fatality, and it was horrendous. And it haunted me for days. But I suppose just like everything, you sort of got to get back up on the horse and go again. I mean, life is risky. Being born is risky, and you're guaranteed to die at some stage. So, yeah, I mean, Thailand's roads can be dangerous. But as I said, if you're in a car and you drive carefully, I think you're reasonably safe. But there are some lunatics out there. There is no argument from me. Aidan, Tim, watch your vlogs daily. Love your channel. Greetings from Canada. Thank you, Aidan, very much. Jamie's got a question. Electoral Commission appears to be running the country. Who elects them? Are they nominated by the government at the time? The current Election Commission and the Constitutional Court were nominated by the junta. So there you go. They're unelected. It's not so much the election. The Electoral Commission put these cases up to the Constitutional Court. So, yeah, I suppose you can blame them for anything that happens. But I think we read yesterday that the Constitutional Court, in its history, have banned 111 political parties in Thailand. So nothing really novel about what happened on Wednesday. And I'll do that news now. Will I? Oh, yes, Tim. Do the news now. So I scratch my nose. Here we go. Can I find the story? Here it is. So this is it going to work or not? Got to press the button, Tim. Get your act together. This is in Cows.English. And Thai opposition has unveiled a People's Party. Thanatorn's allies take helm. Now, Thanatorn was the leader of the Future Forward Party, which was disbanded and Thanatorn banned. He formed what's called the Progressive Movement, and they're sort of the overarching sort of group, a bit like the Heritage Foundation in the United States. And they spawned the Move Forward Party, which won 151 seats at the 151 seats at the 2023 election. And now we've got a new party, but Thanatorn is still sort of, even though he's in his, I don't know, about mid-40s, he's still sort of seen as the father of the progressive movement. Let's move on here as we sort of close that. The People's Party, the new name for the Move Forward Party, has found ways to communicate their political journey as many, including the Prime Minister, predicted. This is similar to when the Future Forward Party was dissolved and changed its name to the Move Forward Party 4 years ago. All 143 Move Forward Party MPs, this is really worth remembering, have registered as members of the People's Party with 100% participation. So these are all the MPs that suddenly didn't have a party. They've now got this People's Party as their brand, and not one of them was lured by payments of some, was alleged, 30 to 40 million baht to join one of the existing political parties in government at the moment. All 143 of them said, no, we're going to stay with the progressive movement. Let's go on, and I'll ruin this. Natapong Ruang Panyut, whose nickname is Nang. I'll call him Nang. He's 37, the former Deputy Secretary General of the Move Forward Party. He's been elected as the leader of the People's Party. So this group here is the sort of the executive, and Nang on the left. Let's get a bit of a close-up of this new leader of the progressive movement here in Thailand, another young gentleman, and he, I would predict, will win the next election. I mean, there's really nothing sure. The problem that this new progressive party, I'm not going to talk politics much longer, but the problem they're going to have is they need to win a majority. That means they've got to win 50% of the seats plus one. They can certainly do that. It's been done in the past many times. So that's what they've got to work on for the next couple of years, is working on stabilising the current situation, probably not talking too much about the Lèse Majesté law. That's Article 112. They've got the Move Forward Party disbanded. And I think this man will be the leader of the party that wins the next election. Whether they can form government, well, we just don't know. But that's the situation. And, of course, happy to hear your thoughts. But, I mean, firstly with Future Forward and then with Move Forward, they're licking their wounds and they're learning and they're getting better at their job. These are young, aspiring people, aspiring politicians that want to take Thailand into the future. And they're having a tough go at it. But I'm pretty sure they're learning along the way, or at least you'd hope so. So I thought I'd just mention that. Quite interesting that they're all 143 remaining MPs have joined the new party and they'll remain in opposition. Hold that thought, because after Wednesday, if the Prime Minister, and this is just like fantasy, if the Prime Minister is turfed out, you could get per Thai out of the coalition, this new party into the coalition. I mean, who knows what could happen. So yeah, next Wednesday is going to be very interesting, and it would be much more earth-shaking if the Prime Minister is thrown out of his position than what happened last Wednesday. So I thought I'd just mention that. So Jamie, I don't know if I answered the question. I think I have. Alpha Bravo, hello to you. Good point. Wood is much more beautiful. Yeah, I love, I've got a beautiful timber dining table that I brought from Australia. I've got a matching coffee table. I do like wood, and I've got quite a lot of wood around. I've got a wooden door. I've got, the thing is in Thailand, particularly down here, is termites can be a problem. I think they're a problem right around Thailand. So you've got to keep on top of the termites. If you do, you've got no problems with the wood. I've got plenty of wood furniture around here, zero problem with termites, but I do get a visit from the Rentokil people once every 2 months, which helps. Chilled Out on Lantau says, who are here and has lots of bolt and grab cars, even way out of the centre of town, much cheaper than tuk-tuks and taxis. That's in response to somebody who said they were getting ripped off by the local taxis. Okay, so we've got a few comments. Alpha Bravo, they should have never have touched the 112 hot iron. Chris says, have you been watching the Olympics? Great to see tennis. Oh, this is the Thai lady. Retain her taekwondo. I was going to say taekwondo title. I think she won 2 medals, but yeah, well done to tennis, who is a taekwondo star. Go figure. Have I been watching the Olympics? I haven't watched 1 second of them. I tried to watch the opening ceremony, but there was nothing free. I thought there'd be a YouTube stream, but there wasn't. Saw bits and pieces. Of course, the controversies, I saw those little bits. Saw Celine Dion miming at the opening ceremony. That's okay. All performers mime at Olympic ceremonies, or generally when they're doing concerts these days. But obviously, great to see her singing after a 4-year break. Thai politics drama seems like an endless power grab, says Fun-Sized Media. I don't know, is politics different anywhere else in the world? It's just much more explicit here in Thailand. And as much as I think I have predicted in the past that we're going to sort of see Thai politics calm down a bit, I was wrong. Wait for this Wednesday. Let's go back to some more of your comments. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to be a subscriber to be in the comments section today. So if you're not a subscriber, I invite you humbly to become one. Doesn't cost you anything. We don't send you any rude emails. You don't have to come to lunches with me or anything. And it means you can participate in the comments section. I think you have to wait about 60 seconds. Mr. YouTube is going to check you out. Jack Flowers, can you open a bank account with a DTV? Well, I'm pretty sure you can. Yes. I would. I'm not 100% sure, but I'd be very surprised if you can't. If you've got a DTV and a certificate of residence, which means you get that from the immigration department, that basically says this is where I live, because the bank will want that. Passport, DTV, certificate of residence. I'm pretty sure you'll get a bank account. Philip Beer. Hi, Tim. Phil Beer here. Don't forget the road statistics on deaths is mainly from motorcycles. A lot of Thais simply don't wear helmets. Totally agree with drug, alcohol and speed and brake failure. Yeah, it is. That's what I've said about the road toll. It's horrendous, but it's mostly 18 to 24 males who have been drinking or are on drugs and on motorbikes, and some of them not wearing helmets. A good percentage of them. Okay. No YouTubers and streamers 30 years ago. Fun-sized media. That's a very good point. Well, I mean, technology has changed. But along with all the technology, of course, if you go to a street food vendor these days and buy a couple of kebabs, that you just scan your phone and scan their phone and pay it that way. You don't have to pay cash anymore. So that has certainly changed, but the food is exactly the same, or as somebody argued a bit earlier, maybe even better. So yeah, the technology's changed. No YouTubers and streamers 30 years ago. Would we be better off without YouTubers and streamers? Of course, if you don't like them, just turn them off or tune into TNT. These are the good old days. Arnold Ziffel. Now, this is a very good point you make. I think we all have the same or make the same mistake, Arnold, which is what you're saying, that when you're sort of in your youth and your teens and growing up and just soaking in information and experiencing things for the first time, the music you listen to, the surroundings, the habits you get into are the way that you see life going into the future, and you sort of get to your 60s and your 70s and you look back with nostalgia back to your teens and your 20s. And a lot of people, even in their 60s and 70s, are still listening to music back in the 70s and 80s, or 60s, 70s and 80s, saying, oh, the music was better back then. But of course, the people who are teenagers and in their 20s in the 2000s and the 2010s, they'll get to, I don't know, the age of 50, 60, 70, and they'll look back at the 2000s and say, oh, the music was better then. Oh, remember Taylor Swift? Oh, wow, remember those K-pop bands? Gee, music's changed so much. I used to love those K-pop bands. I think you will look back and with nostalgia, just the way people look back in nostalgia now. Absolutely sure that the music was better in the 70s and 80s than it is now. Amazing how people do that. But I think we all fall into that same trap. Pat Ty, when you next at RTA get your driver's license renewed, ask for Australian ID for life. Sorry. Are you talking here in Thailand or what? RTA. I don't even know what that is. I mean, if you're saying, Pad Thai, that if I'm in Australia, I can get an Australian ID for life, thank you very much. But if you're talking about the DLT is where you get your license here in Thailand, which reminds me, next month, I've got to go and get my license renewed. They're going to take another photo. Hope I have a good day. Okay, Daryl McGee talks to Paddy. He says, I have seen those supplements. They seem very expensive in Thailand. Captain Paddy, why are the young Thais now bigger? Can you find quality multivitamins in many stores? You can find good quality multivitamins in many stores, nutrition. I don't think the Thais are getting bigger and fatter, taller and fatter because of supplements, although many Thais take supplements, which I think just give you expensive urine and that's about all. But I think their diets have changed. I mean, at home they probably will get traditional Thai meal with some rice, but when they're out and about with their friends, they're going into 7-Eleven and buying all those snacks and those sugary drinks. Wilco has a comment. Good morning to you, Wilco. Have noticed huge changes on Phuket. Oh, yeah. Mainly at Patong. I was there on Thursday. Since first going there just after the Phuket International Airport opened in 1988. Koh Phi Phi was also close to an unspoilt paradise. Yeah, look, that has changed, for sure. And Phuket now is not a tropical island paradise, it's an urban island, which is very well tuned to extract money out of foreigners' pockets. That's what Phuket is all about. You can stay in some great hotels, you can go to some great shows, you can even sit on some beautiful beaches. That hasn't changed, but I think, you just need to be more wary these days in Phuket because there's plenty of ways that you can be forking out more than you need to have a good time in Phuket. It's a very, very, very touristy island, more so than even when I moved there 13 years ago. And we got a comment from Norel. Let's see what, as for Koh Phi Phi is just a mess these days. Hi, Tim, says Norel C. I've noticed that there is a lot more sugar-laden foods everywhere. Both Thai and international. Love the place. This is just an observation here now in Bangkok. Only a few days left. Hope you're having a great time. I go out of my way these days to avoid having sugar. For me, it's my best weight control, not having sugar. Because there is so much sugar in so many foods. So I always try and get my food as close to the original source as I can. So I don't try and eat too much processed foods. And if I buy yogurts, I go for the one up the back of the store, which it doesn't have any sugar in it, the Greek-style yogurts. Cereals, very hard to buy cereals without sugar. Even the healthy cereals these days are just laden with sugar. So avoiding sugar is sort of my mission in life when it comes to diet and controlling my weight. My father was quite heavy, my mother was even heavier. I have a propensity to put on weight, but I'm about 72 kilos now, and probably up from 69 or 70 kilos maybe 10 years ago. But I put that down to old age. And my main diet is just avoiding sugar. Otherwise, I eat just about anything. A good comment there, Norel, and thank you for that. Let's go down a bit further. Poor rural Thailand has very few fat Thais. Well, I think they're probably lucky if they're just eating their traditional diet, which is relatively high in salt and sugar. But I think that is also a sort of a later addition to Thai food, more salt and more sugar than it had in the past, added to a whole lot of spice. I think I've had another super chat. Daryl McGee, thank you very, very much. Daryl, as usual, I can't thank you enough. And Daryl says, thankfully, with all the price rises and more living expenses, the Thai smile still exists. I hope that never changes. The Thai smile. Now, there's a program in itself. I think I've done that with Steve before. The Thai smile. Thais will generally smile whether they're happy or unhappy with you, whether they're about to embrace you, which is not a Thai thing, or about to kill you. I think somebody identified 17 different Thai smiles. But generally, Thais do smile a lot. And that hasn't changed. And let's hope it doesn't change in the future. Daryl, thank you very much for that comment. And thank you. Oh, Coop. Coop, I mentioned you earlier. Coop, thank you, Tim, for being a wonderful host. If you're looking for a great staycation, Tim has an excellent Airbnb. I highly recommend it. I think you've been typing on a phone with a bad hangover, Coop. But thank you very much for the little promo there. Thank you for coming down. And as I mentioned earlier, I've got your friend's charger here, so I'm going to be sending it to you. So thank you, Coop, and thank you very much for your generosity. Much appreciated. And there's another one here. Eileen. Come on, Eileen. Eileen Morris-Duke. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Born in Thailand in the 60s. I didn't know that, Eileen. I didn't know that you were born in Thailand in the 60s. Visit periodically. Changes I've seen Thailand modernised and national pride. Do you think there's less national pride these days or more? Granted that it's changed. I think there's a few things about the way that Thais see themselves these days that I think are quite different from the past. They're subtle. For example, I mean, if you went to a movie, you know what I'm going to say. If you went to a movie 5 years ago, no, not 5 years ago, we're going back to 2016, in the time of King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the former king of Thailand, everybody in the cinema would stand up during the royal anthem, which was played at the start of the movie. Now, I've been to the movie recently, and they still play the royal anthem, but very few people stand up these days. So that's a little bit different. The way that Thais see themselves, I think that's also changing because of social media. If you asked a Thai person 30 years ago, where's the best country in the world? They would have universally said Thailand. Now I think they sort of don't say that with quite so much enthusiasm. They still love their country, and there's plenty to love here. But they are aware that some things work a little bit better and a little bit worse in other countries. They're a little bit more knowledgeable about what happens around the globe. And that's probably a good thing as well. Eileen, thank you very much. I wasn't aware that you were born in Thailand. Are you half Thai, or did your parents work here? Were they expats? You better tell us. Interesting story there. Fun Size Media. I'm hoping Krabi is not the same as Phuket. We'll find out in a few months. Well, let me tell you, if you go to Ao Nang, you'll notice that it's just heaving with people. Having said that, there are plenty of nice places around Krabi still, but Ao Nang is more like Phuket than it used to be, for sure. Stephen Lance Stoll, dump soft drinks for soda water and lime. That's my go-to drink. I have, 3 or 4 sodas a day, and then just plenty of water. And yes, I do have a slice of lemon or lime if I can. That's my go-to drink, just a cold glass of soda for sure. Eurovision Chris back again. The food in the Bangkok Airways Lounge right now is quite sugary. I'm trying to stick to the lower sugar options, but not many this time of the morning. Well, you're just lucky that you can go and sit in what's called the Coral Lounge, the Bangkok Lounge, the free food. I don't have a Coral Lounge membership, so if any of you are in the Coral Lounge and you see me sitting all alone in the Departure Lounge, you're welcome to invite me in. Thank you very much. Pad Thai. Kun Tim looks spunky as always. It's just good lighting, I think. It seems Thai men smile more than Thai women, you think. Not sure about that one. Jim Stiers from JS. I don't know, where's JS? Hi, Tim. Moved to Thailand in 2000. JS. I don't know, where's JS? I can't guess. Left in 2016. Lived in Pattaya, Ranong, Bangkok, Udon Thani and Nong Khai. Lots of changes, including 3 coups, tsunami, BTS and MRT, iPhones and sugar back in October. So thank you very, very much for all that, Jim Stiers. You've sort of been around the block, and good to see you coming back as well. Drinks sold in plastic bags, says Hackle Guru. Now, look, I'm not sure if the drinks weren't served in plastic bags for a long time. If not, what were they served in? What did they serve the drinks in? Yeah, sure, you see them in plastic bags now, but we've had plastic bags for, I don't know, 40, 50 years? 50 years ago, were they serving the drinks in plastic bags? I sort of guess they were, with a plastic straw. Come on, Eileen. Decent 80s song, but what a wonderful and kind gift, yes. Come on, Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners. I don't know, am I guessing that right? Somewhat of a one-hit wonder from what I can remember, but a great song. Come on, Eileen. Eurovision Chris is back again, and I've lost your comment. There it is. Blue Ribbon Lounge. Oh, sorry. Comes with my credit card. And, of course, would guest you in. I think you need to be on the same flight. Oh, for heaven's sake. Just tell them I'm on the same flight. I don't fly Bangkok Airways usually. If I have a choice, I'm not sure. I have flown with them before. From Phuket to Koh Samui. I'm not sure if they still fly. They've got the ATR 72s. 2 seats. About, I don't know, 80 or 100 seats. Nice little planes. Takes about 45 minutes. Horrendously expensive. Nong Wua So. Come to Non Chai and you will see real Thai food, and people might see a PHANG maybe once a week. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just a little bit too out in the sticks for me, but we'll get up there one day, Nong Wua So. Khmer Hydro, thank you very much. Looks like you're from Australia. Thank you very much for your kind and generous support of the program. Oh, good heavens, we're 5 minutes past 10. We'll probably do, let's say, 3 more. Let's see if we can find 3 interesting comments. Plenty of great comments here. Here we go. Bill G. In your years of reporting the news in Thailand, what has changed over that time? I'm going to have to think about that. Have the events being reported today changed to what you might have reported in the past? No way you're 72 kilograms, Tim, says Suri26. I'm 72 kilos. I swear. Really? Gee, what? Look, there have always been a few no-go topics, and those no-go topics change. There's a little bit more flexibility in the reportage of some of those topics, particularly after 2020 and those street protests. That did change the way that some of those topics are reported. So, no, I've always said that when it comes to reporting in Thailand, there's a large degree of freedom of speech. A lot of people complain that there isn't, but I think there is. And there's ways that Thai media get around reporting some of those no-go topics by using sort of code, and the Thais know what's being reported. And I've been to plenty of media conferences with mostly pro-Chanochar, and those Thai journalists used to, they used to rip into them, into the politicians. Interesting, I can't think of any particular stories, but I think generally it's just a little bit easier these days for Thai reporters than it was in the past. But there are still some no-go topics. I mean, that hasn't changed. Hey Tim, it's difficult finding street food low in sugar. Well, I mean, some street food, the sort of the savoury sticks and stuff. I mean, if they're not laden in sugar, they're probably boiled in oil. So that's not necessarily going to be good for you either. Siri 26. No way you're 72 kilos. How rude. What are you suggesting? Okay, just a few more. Because King 9 earned the respect of his people, we better just be careful about what we're doing there. Okay, I'll try and find one more. Scrolling down. Brett, thank you very much. Brett Border in California. Just making sure everybody knows 80s music is the best. No nostalgia involved. Tell us the bands that you like, Brett. So I'm guessing you're about 55 or 60? I don't know. Might be overstepping the mark there. On the new channel, I'm actually doing some videos about music, which is sort of a thing I enjoy and like discussing. So we'll get into 80s music and talking about the best singers in the world. And I've got my ideas. I'll be happy to hear yours. And okay, Eurovision Chris again. Yep, Samu to Phuket is my flight. Good, got a good deal from Bangkok to Samui, $40 including case. Going back to Bangkok was indeed crazy expensive, but Phuket was fine, which is why I go there. There you go. Vanilla Man in America. Why is there not an English-speaking news outlet that mirrors a Bangkok TV station? Why is there not an English-speaking news outlet that mirrors a Bangkok TV station? So you sort of want there to be like a Fox News in Thailand? You want it to be like your local news station with a male and a female sitting there, male with a tie, female, usually blonde, sort of discussing the news? Well, it's probably because it would be very difficult to monetize. And because most people watching TV in Thailand, by far, are Thais, and many of them don't speak English. There is some English-speaking, I think The Nation has got an English-speaking news broadcast. There are some, I mean, I do a daily news show, but they're not sort of Western style, are they? I just don't think you'd be able to monetize it. You'd have, I don't know, even if you stripped it right down, 2 presenters, maybe a cameraman, a director, maybe a producer, writer, 5 people. That's a lot of wages to pay, and I just don't think the money's there anymore to be able to make that a thing. That's what I think, Vanilla Man in America. You chose the right season. 80s music is back in style, says Eurovision Chris. So much synth right now in the music scene, at least in Europe. And one more. Okay, what I meant, Tim, this is Vanilla Man in America, is a TV station that will show all the stories instead of just a few head highlights. I don't really have an answer for that. As I said, I just don't think it can be monetized that easily. There are so many places that you can find news these days, but yeah, sure, you've sort of got to dig around a bit. I've got 8 or 9 publications in Thailand I refer to each day that I find either reliable or well written. There's a lot of copying and pasting these days, a lot of people using ChatGPT to spin a story so that it looks original, but Google's onto that as well these days. But yeah, I think you just got to dig around. There's probably not going to be one single place. Even I only do 5 or 6 stories a day. Okay, so retired. Nongwa So, RW4U explained the DTV the best. No, I disagree with that, because they were speaking to somebody from the Department of Foreign Affairs, and they got a lot of things wrong, unfortunately, because as we've found out since, and this is why it's a great resource, and Chris did a great interview, but they missed a lot of points, and they got some of them wrong. And that's fine, because, they were just doing their best at the time. The only way you can really understand the DTV is to look at 5 or 6 different sources, put them all together, and sort of work out what's happening. But I'm sure Chris will do another interview in the future, and he did take the trouble, bless him, to knock on the door of Foreign Affairs and get that interview. But unfortunately, Department of Foreign Affairs are just a part of the way that the visas work. I saw a table of Thai teens adding spoons of sugar to their boat noodles, says Michael Dawson. Ugh. I had a noodle dish a couple of days ago, and it was like a soy noodles, and it had a lot of sugar in it as well. Revenish, here we go. Agreed, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd were brilliant. Then David Bowie, Susie? Oh, something in the Banshees. Eurythmics, every decade has brilliant music somewhere. Yeah, that's right. Every decade has got brilliant music, including the last decade. I would gladly watch the Thai broadcast on YouTube if they would actually simulcast on YouTube, says Vanilla Man in America. Well, unless you can fund it, I just don't think it's going to happen. It's an expensive endeavour to put a news program together. And just off the top of my head, even with five people working 5 or 6 hours, you might be able to pull together a half-hour program. But, oh, yeah, you just wouldn't be able to fund it. Thanks, Tim. I look forward to the new channel. Interested for sure. Changes. Would be nice if smartphones would be for adults only. Kids got addicted to them, losing so many skills. And with that, thank you very, very much for watching today. It's interesting to see what you thought has changed, what's changed and what hasn't changed in Thailand. And I think we covered quite a variety of topics. And for me, I'm living here on a beach. I'm busy. I'm happy. I'm eating well. I'm very happy with the Thailand of today, as happy as I was when I moved here 13 years ago. And it seems for people that were here back in the 80s and 90s, they've noticed changes, but they still enjoy Thailand. And as I said, I think those fundamentals, those things that drew us to Thailand in the past, are still here as well. But been great having you with us. I think I'll keep this subscriber-only chat going in the future. So if you'd like to join in the chats and like to support the channel, please subscribe. And a very, very special thank you, especially to Eileen, to all the super chats today. Much appreciated. And you keep this channel going. And it is much appreciated. So have a fantastic Saturday. I've got tomorrow off. Picking up some guests today. We've got people checking in, got people checking out. Busy. No complaints. The sun's out. And I'm going to be enjoying some noodles for lunch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.